Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Piston Slap, and we're going to do brake pad inspection replacement. Now this bike's only got 9,000 miles on it, so it's not going to need brake pads. But I get it every now and then. I get people that ask, can you show me how to do it? So this is how it does. On the 13 to 15, as far as I know, maybe even the 16 ZX6R, this is how you'll inspect your brake pads. If you guys want to know how to service your brake fluid, I'll put a link right here. So with this brake pad inspection or replacement, the first step for this particular bike is to loosen these pins right here. And you can see I got an Allen wrench right here. This Allen wrench, guys, is a 5mm. All my tools that I use in these videos will always be in the description. If not, you can beat me royally, virtually. Hate mail through the YouTube, that's fine too. So I'll give you guys an idea how tight these are. Yeah, just like that. This is what the brake, actually, the pad rides on. So 5mm, break those pins loose. Don't pull them out, just break them loose. And a ratchet, or a wrench if you want to put a wrench in there, it's your choice. Just like that. This guys. So you see how this is going to be kind of a pain, so I don't want to get in there and harm my brake line or anything like that, so we'll just put this wrench on like that. A little tug. She's loose. So go ahead and pull these bolts out, guys. Okay, now this particular caliper only has 2 bolts that hold it to the fork. There's nothing back here. I've already felt around, plus that's all it shows. So all you need to do is take a caliper and slide it off. Just be gentle, guys, because you don't want to nick up your rim if you're all fancy about that. As you can see, 4 pistons, 2 brake pads. And then you can see there's been recessed for the dowels here to line this up onto the front fork and rotor. So I'm just going to let that guy hang there ever so gently. Pick up my stuff so I don't have it laying around and kicking it. We'll set it up here. We'll get to this stuff later, guys, and what we're going to do. Back to the Allen wrench. And what we're going to do is spin these pins out. Now some of you guys that are fanatics are going to be like, well, you should clean this and clean that. Yes, I agree. But I don't have the stuff to clean mine. And it's not on a racetrack all the time, even though that's no excuse. Pull the pins. These pins are going to be a little grimy. These I do recommend cleaning anytime you're out here messing around, because it's what your brake pad slides on. We'll inspect those. Go ahead and pull those guys out. Once you pull that out, it's going to basically dump the whole shoot and match right out the bottom. Except for this guy. He might come out. So we'll clean that guy too. So if you guys are going to be replacing your brake pads at this point, what you would be doing is cracking this bleeder loose. If your pads are wore out, if you have the scissor type, you just stick your pads back in. And with them wore out, stick the tool in between and use it to push all 4 pistons back in. Now this is where some of the guys will be like, well, you need to clean this, because you get corrosion and nasties down here in these calipers or on these pistons. And if you shove them back in, well, you're shoving all that back across the seals and O-rings inside the caliper. So you can see all the dust. Arrow says up. Look at all the brake dust on there. So here's my brake pads. And you can see it says, you know, name of and there's some numbers on there. The numbers I think are for how hard or the type of brake pad it is. But we'll get into what we want to do. So there's that, and you're probably wanting to know what's up with the money. All in good time, guys. All in good time. The money's actually for you guys if you want to come here and get it. The service limit, guys, that's when the brake pad is worn out beyond. Don't use it anymore, pull it out, throw it away. 1 millimeter. For us here in the US, that's 4/1000ths of an inch. But I wanted to try to give you guys something, if you don't have all this stuff to figure out, well, how do you know? Well, let's go ahead by first cleaning the brake pad. So I want to kind of just move this stuff. I'm going to close this, guys, because I don't need brake cleaner on my shop stuff. Brake clean. Move this guy out of the way here too. And what we're going to do is, and it's not going to hurt to get it on the pad surface itself. Now you can have a little brush. I don't have a brush with me today. I don't think so. I don't see one. But just kind of cleaning it up. You can do this two ways, guys. You can put it right into that. Make it all shiny and new. But, okay, so it's not as clean as it could be, guys, but it's clean-ish. Cleanish, right? The reason we want to get the debris off the edges is because that way you get a good reading. So how thick do you think those things are? I mean, they look pretty thick, right? Well, pretty thin. If that was on a car, I'd tell you, you're done. You're crazy, don't drive like that. But this bike, different hardness. Alright, this tool right here, guys, you can buy these at most auto parts stores. Reads in fractions and metric. Was it standard and metric? This is not how you measure your brake pad thickness. They want to know how thick the material is on the backing plate. So what you want to do is, you see this doodad that sticks out the bottom. You want to take it, set it on the brake surface ever so gently, or however, just set it down and just pulse down to that. That tells me my brake pad is 2.91, let's just say 2.9 millimeters thick. So this brake pad is about half wore out. Now there is different guys that tell you to measure for taper, so you measure like this side. This is 2.74, and this side is 3.2. So the way this brake pad is worn is this side is actually thinner than this side. And what that is just as maybe the way the rotor travels through and it's pulling the brake pad in a little bit and wearing that forward edge. Still good for service, guys. What if you don't have one of these, guys? Well, this is why watching my video is going to help you out. Here I've got some US money, but let's start with a nickel. You think a nickel? Think once your brake pad gets down to the thickness of a nickel, would that be worn out? Well, let's go ahead and measure that nickel. A US nickel measures right about 1.86. So if we round it up 1.9, I'll just say 1.8, leave it at that. So nickel, too thick. Still got some meat left in there. How about a penny, guys? Penny. How thick is a penny? 1.5. Still got some meat left on your pads to use. How about a dime? 1.3. 1.36. You see how thin a dime is, guys? I don't know if you guys can get a good look on that. Put it up there. That's a dime, a US dime, 10 cents. You got a dime. You stick a dime up to your brake pad, and you can see, guys, there's quite a bit left on there. So, I mean, if you pull your brake pads out and you're not sure, this is for my bike. It's 1 millimeter is the service limit on those pads. Your bike is different. Unless you have that same bike, then your bike would be the same. I always say consult your manual. So that dime, that gives you a good idea. So there's how you would check your brake pads for this. This is the front brakes. The rear would be the same. Obviously the service limits are in there, and on my bike the service limits are 1 millimeter. These pads have 9,000 miles on them, guys, and that's 9,000 moderate riding. A lot of cruising here and there and gentle, but no racetrack. So I don't know exactly how they would live on the racetrack, or mileage wise, but for the average person that rides a sport bike, 9,000 miles, and these guys got, plenty of life left in them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clean all these parts back out. Next part, you guys see, this stuff will be all shiny. And we'll put it all back in the bike. And that'll be that. Alright guys, as you can see, it's cleanish without a brush or anything like that. I really can't get in there and scrub these pads down, but if you're in there checking it, go ahead and give everything clean over. So these pins are kind of important, along with the holes in here. You want to make sure these holes aren't all wallered out and worn. Along with these pins, you want to make sure they're not bent. You see a little bit of wear on them where the pad's been sitting their life. But as far as everything else, they look, pretty much as round or straight as they're not bent or anything. If it was bent or, there was a groove worn in there, that pad would hang up and you might be applying the brake and it's binding and all of a sudden it snaps over and you get a whole lot of front brake when you didn't really want a whole lot. Anti-rattle clip, and what this guy does is sits like that, and that keeps these guys from jiggling around and rattling inside your caliper, so you don't hear all that crap. Build this guy right here. So this guy goes up over that. I'm just doing this to show you guys kind of what it looks like outside the caliper, better understanding of why these pieces are in there. Some people are like, oh, this is nonsense. So you can see those things are pretty tight, so they're not going to be rattling around inside your caliper and causing excess wear on the pins and stuff. So that's how that works. Obviously it's not all crooked and stuff like that. It's going to be in a nice caliper. So let's go ahead and put the stuff back together, guys. And I did check the manufacturer. There is no front or back, because you see a short, a short, a long on the brake pads. So, but you see the other side's different. So no directions, no arrows. So set those guys there. This says up and has an arrow. So I'd assume it would go like so. Well, next, take your pads and install them. So just kind of guide the pad. What I'm doing is I'm pushing the pad up, pushing the pin over to slide the pad through the eyelet up over the spring clip, and then we'll roll that other one in, and there we are. Simple like that. We'll go ahead and just take this 5mm Allen wrench and get this one started, so that way it's locked in back here. And we'll start with the other one. So there it is. Here's the first pad, and the next pad, and then go ahead and just be gentle, guys. Make sure these threads aren't cross-thread. If it gets really tight all of a sudden, it's like you're cross-threading it. And you can go ahead and just run these guys down. Don't tighten them, just run them down. Till just a little bit seat and then back it off maybe. Your choice. Doesn't need to be tight. So the next part is, obviously your pads are touching in here, so the rotor's not going to fit in there. You're going to have to work your pads, so that way there's where they need to be. So just, get it so it'll slide on. So once those pads are separated, go ahead and just be gentle. Don't scratch your wheels. Bike's cold. Squeaking. Okay. And just work it back and forth. And you don't want to force anything, guys. That's the worst thing you could do. Okay. Now it's on. Another thing I'd like to throw out there is don't touch your brake while you got it apart, because you'll push the pistons together and then you're going to have to spread them apart. Alright, and there we go. It's on. Front brake pad pins, 17 Newton meters. That's 13 foot-pounds. Now, normally I would just break out my tool, click, tight, be done with it. Problem is, can't attach that to an Allen wrench or to a torque wrench. I don't have my adapter to adapt to a 5mm torque wrench. I'm very, very anal about torquing things down to the right spec. I don't like things over tight and I don't like things loose. So I always stress, you know, go get yourself one of these. This is an inch-pound torque wrench. It does inch-pound. It's got newton meters on the back. This one goes up to 23 newton meters. Now the front caliper mounting bolts, the big bolts, guys, these guys, they're going to be torqued at 34 newton meters or 25 foot-pounds. I'm going to need my bigger torque wrench for that. So I apologize in advance for not showing you that procedure. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to snug these down. So, well, I'm just going to snug them down. I'm not going to tighten them. And I'm going to get my torque wrench and bring it home and torque these bolts down so that they're right. So guys, that's how you check your brake pads, how you install brake pads. So if you were going to install it, obviously the only difference is you'd spread that pad, let the excess fluid out the bleeder, then stick your new ones in and be on your merry way. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions or comments, as always I say, I appreciate it. Drop them down there in that comment section below. And please, if you like this video, guys, hit that like button. It means a lot to me. It shows me that, you know, there is actually people out there that watch this and have found some value. Even if it's not everything you'd hoped it'd been, if you find something and walk away with some sort of knowledge, you know, it means the world to me that you hit that thumbs up button. And if you haven't, subscribe to my channel, guys. That's how you remove the front caliper and inspect your brake pads, replacement if necessary. Obviously today you guys seen that my brake pads didn't need to be replaced. So 9,000 miles on it, and still got probably, I'd guess, another 9 to 10,000 depending on how I ride. That's really how it breaks down on the brake pads. Future videos coming up, guys, for this bike is going to be how to change the air filter. Yeah, sounds like what? That should be easy. It's underneath the gas tank, guys. And while we're in there, we're going to change the spark plugs because those are due at 7,500 miles, believe it or not, on this bike. A lot of people think, you know, well, you know, the bike starts and runs fine. It's a performance machine, guys. Replace them. So, well, that's that. I got to get on to making other videos with the doctor. So I appreciate you guys, like I said, for stopping by. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section below. I'm Piston. Have a great day.